I call this meeting the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel, and the time is 5:30. The board will now convene an open session, and the time is 5:44 p.m. Item 4, matters from executive session. Personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding termination of Chapter 21 term contract employee. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Landry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. We're going to adjust the agenda here for one item. We're going to move item 6, new business for possible action, consent. If nobody has objections to that, we'll go ahead and hear that item now. So we'll switch to item 6, new business for possible action. A, consent. 1, instruction and campus administration. A, approval of T-TESS Appraiser. 2, business services. A, National Purchasing Partners Gov, NPP Gov, Intergovernmental Cooperative. And B, over 50,000 purchases. Do I have a trustee wishing to pull an item from consent? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve consent as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Chidgey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. All right, we'll go back up to item 5, board business. A, discussion and possible action regarding Senate Bill 12 compliance certification. You want to go ahead and go? Go ahead, Dr. Micah.
Did you want to say something first?
I was just going to say on the front end of this that this is a very large sweeping bill, and Dr. Micah might speak to this a little bit. And as Ms. Shelton and I heard at TASB last week, that buckle up for October and November, because there's a lot of bills coming out of this that are going to directly impact our policy, like to the tune of the short version, 300 pages worth of policy that will be coming to us. So tonight, and again, Dr. Micah might speak to this, this certification is directly focused at 2 parts of the education code that we have to certify by law. So Dr. Micah, if you want to take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. So, correct. So I want you all to know that the certification form is not certifying this bill. That is not what this is. All right? This is Senate Bill 12 in its entirety, and each little tab is a portion. This bill ranges from talking about the reporting requirement every year for us regarding our school sizes, our facility usage, through all sorts of other lawsuits and grievances and parent rights and the DOI, which is, drawing a blank, what's DOI? District of Innovation. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. And so that's actually not what we're going to talk about. At the very back of this bill, I believe it's on page 35 of the bill, there is a component, section 39008, that says certification of compliance with certain laws. And it says not later than September the 30th of each year, the superintendent of a school district or open enrollment charter school shall certify to the agency that the district or school is in compliance with this section and sections 11005 and 28022, the certification, and then it goes through it. And it says it. So the question came to me about, like, you've done this at the federal level, why do we have to vote on it? Because in the bill's language it says that I have to certify it, and then it must be approved by a majority vote of the Board of Trustees of a school district. And then we have to upload it and so forth. So it goes out. Now look, the last time we met, I talked about all these bills and all this guidance that we're not getting, and here we are again. No guidance, just so you know. We have not been given a certification, but September the 30th, you have to certify. So we went, or I went, I guess, to Mr. Lopez, who's here tonight, should you have a question that I can't answer, and spoke about this portion of it, and said, Mr. Lopez, what do you think? I think we probably need to have something drafted. So this is something that he put together. This is not coming from the agency, and it certainly didn't come from the legislature, all right? But it is focused on two parts. One is Section 11.005 of the Education Code prohibits the district from assigning an employee or contractor any diversity, equity, including duties. And it also keeps us from using those to allow kids in magnet programs or hire them or any of those types of things. All right, well, we don't do that. The other component of it is the district complies with the requirements of Section 280022 related to the teaching of controversial topics. And it shows here that the board policy EMB. Just so you all know, Mr. Jarrett and I were looking over that because that was actually from the last legislative session, 280022 about controversial topics. At that time, Mr. Jarrett, you did a lot of training with your people, and we actually phased it in. Can you remind me where you started? It was
Sure. So basically, we went over the bill with all of our leaders, principals, deans, etc. We wrote a memo to them as well, and then we created a PowerPoint presentation walking them through the bill and what you can do. Parents to have the option to opt out of certain topics if that goes against their values, their beliefs. And so we did that for a whole entire year, and then each year we send out a memo reminding everybody about it.
So we've been doing that, as you can see here from that certificate of compliance since 2022. And so that's really what this is. I can answer questions or one of them, but it's not covering all the other topics that are in SB 12. That's not what this is. It's not talking about all the other litany of things in here about the grievance policy or any of the other things. It's really focused on those two things. That I don't assign duties of DEI, and that we've dealt with the controversial topics in classrooms, and that we have a policy.
So with that, I actually do want to point out one thing. We do reference in item 2, board policy EMB, and it says it's been in place since summer 2022. If you go to the local policy online, I think we want to make sure we check that with TAS because it says 2002.
Yeah, so Mr. Byer, we actually looked it over. So if you look at legal, it'll show the 2022.
Correct.
The 2002 piece, because it's very broad, it's not specific to it, so there's nothing really to change in it.
Okay.
And so what we can do is bring it back to you all to say we don't have any changes, but in typical, we review them. If there's no changes, then it sits as, because that date is the last time we touch that policy and make changes.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Do we need to specify, though, in this, just to be clear, that when we're saying it was updated in 2022, that has to do with the legal policy and not
Mr.
not
Lopez,
local?
do you think we need to delineate that?
I mean, just if what I did and I immediately went to the local and saw 2002.
Right, and the 280022's legal requirements were covered in the legal policy, and that's really what we were focused on, just that we had adopted it and, of course, are complying with it. I can go ahead and make that change if you all approve that tonight before it gets submitted to the agency, and just make it clear that that comes from the legal policy that's in there.
Sure, okay. Does anybody have any questions, Ms. Villarreal?
Okay, for you. I have some concerns about this because, as you know, we all know that there have been cases where it may not be called DEI, but they call it something else, like social and emotional learning and things like this. It's kind of under that umbrella. And according to some of my parents, some of this stuff has been integrated into our textbooks. So if we're asking Dr. Micah to sign on this and something happens, where does that put him?
So what this does is lay out the expectations of the district as an institution. And as an institution, I mean, the expectation of Dr. Micah as well as the executive staff is that these pieces, whether we call them DEI, whatever we call them, would have nothing to do with the DEI that is defined within the statute, which is we don't make decisions or treat people differently based on their race, color, or national origin. There are certain things we're limited in talking about when it comes to creating policies or programs. We cannot focus on race, color, or national origin. We cannot focus on gender identity when it comes to those pieces of 11.005. If there are individuals out there who decide that they're going to do something to violate those provisions, well, then as soon as it gets reported to the administration, the way it would be handled is it would be investigated and individual action would be taken as appropriate against those employees who may be doing that. Now, with respect to the adoption of textbooks and everything like that, I mean, I'm certainly not the curriculum and instruction expert, but my understanding is the materials that are adopted are those that are given to us by the state and that are in compliance with the TEKS, which are all set by the state. So certainly the state is going to be the first line of defense to look at things that are not supposed to be in those materials, such that districts don't adopt anything that would be violative of Texas law.
Well, it's my recollection that we adopted those textbooks before this was even put into law. So what I'm concerned about is, so what you're saying is that we are in a legal position where we can just say, well, you were the ones that told us to use these particular textbooks. And so that takes us off the hook if something is in there that shouldn't be in there.
Sure, and I also want to point out that, so 11005, which is part of Senate Bill 12, is the one that says we cannot give DEI duties or engage and create DEI-related programs. But 280022, the teaching of controversial topics, that's actually been on the books since back in 2022. So there's actually been a period of time of years where a lot of the things that are in that law have been taken into account by the state when it comes to adoption of materials that they're saying that schools can select from, as well as construction and design of the TEKS. So all of that's already been taken into account. And if you look at 280022, that's the one that talks about there are certain things you cannot teach. Like you cannot teach things related to the 1619 project. There are a lot of limitations in terms of emphasizing that no one's race is an issue in terms of making people feel badly one way or another about their particular race, color, or national origin in terms of how topics are taught. So all of that's actually been on the books for a period of years now.
Okay. Thank you.
And I will say, I mean, again, as we've talked in the past, if there are issues that we hear in our community, it's incumbent upon us to bring those forward to Dr. Micah. So I want to make sure that if we have specific things that need to get looked at, not as a witch hunt, but that there are concerns from community, staff, students, parents, whatever it is, that we're bringing those to Dr. Micah, not bringing them up in generalities. So do we have any other questions for Mr. Lopez or any of staff?
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve? Oh, yes, I'd like to, sorry, do I have a motion to approve the certification for compliance with Senate Bill 12 as presented with the change to adding legal behind board policy EMB?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Landry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding creation of District Library Advisory Committee, DLAC. You all were provided a proposed operating procedures that was put together by staff for us to review. And as we go through that, it talks about it generally, in an extent, kind of follows some of what the kind of our SHAC process as well. along with aligning with the legal requirements. So I don't know if Dr. Micah or if anybody else had anything they wanted to present on this before we start discussing as a group.
No, just essentially what's in front of you is really a draft for your consideration. Working with Christina Reyna, our Director of Library Services, really outlining a process that will allow a committee to be formed and to evaluate the books as according to the new rules of SB 13.
One question I did have, and I don't know if this is a Mr. Lopez question or not, but we specifically reference SB 13, or I guess Senate Bill 13, in these procedures in a couple of spots. And I was curious if we needed to back that up a little bit and just say state law or applicable state law. And I'll just read one example. It says, reviewing and making recommendations to the Board of Trustees on proposed library materials as required by SB 13. I'm curious if I know SB 13 means something now, but in 5 years, will that still mean something?
It could be changes, and there could be further revisions to this in future sessions. So what you would want to do is say that it's in compliance with state law as it exists or may hereafter be amended. And that will cover, in the event that there is some sort of a future change, either through a commissioner rule or through a future change by a subsequent legislative session. That way, everything will already be incorporated as necessary.
And can you just repeat that one more time? For the
Yes.
record?
As it exists or may hereafter be amended.
Okay. All right, so with that, what I'd like to do is offer that there were two spots I found, and they're right at the beginning. One is under Article 2, Responsibilities, and it's right on the first page, and it's under Item A. At the end, it says, as required by SB 13. And so I would suggest that we revise that as Mr. Lopez advised. And then also Item D, under that same heading on the next page. Item D has the same, says SB 13 requirements. So I want to make sure that those are both changed to reflect the state law as it exists or as it may hereafter be amended. So do I have any other trustees with questions related to this? Ms. Thompson?
There's one other
Ms.
place in the review of library materials, Section 2, it just, SB 13 is referenced again. You want to keep that language the same?
Where's that? Yes.
Article 6, review of library materials, Section 2.
Oh, yes. Okay. I see that.
And I see on 5, it's the overview of SB 13, which that makes sense.
Yeah, that
In
one
the
I think
training
we'll
that
have to.
they would talk about that, but
Sure. Do you have any other comments or questions?
No,
Ms.
sorry.
Thompson? Ms. Cox?
I just wondered if I'm allowed to ask what the timeline is moving forward, like when we see.
I can speak to one part of that, and I think I sent out an email clarifying that tonight we're talking about this procedure. After this, we will have an opportunity to, if this passes, we will have an opportunity to appoint our members to the district library advisory committee. I have been told that we have to have those before the end of October. And so what we'll do, assuming this passes, we will we'll send out a reminder, but we'll want everybody to get their 2 members, if we go that route, in the next month before that November 1st deadline. And then Mr. Jarrett, I think, can explain the overall process a little bit better.
Yeah, so again, as you guys make a decision tonight, then at that point, we have put I guess I don't want to say questionnaire, but essentially a sign-up sheet on our website where people can sign up for the CLAC or DLAC. Those members are already being populated for you, so if you don't have someone in mind, we will provide some names for you for consideration. And then those that are selected for DLAC, once that's done, then it'll move to the schools be able to suggest someone for CLAC. So they won't serve both committees, they will serve one or the other. So DLAC will come first, and then the CLAC comes second.
Just had one other question, excuse me. Just in Article 6, what does public-facing list mean?
Which section is that under, Ms.
Sorry,
Metz?
Section 1, under Article 6.
Okay.
Is that just what's on the campus website?
No, that's what we have to post on our website. So remember, by law, we have to put it out for public comment. I think it's for 30 days, correct?
30 days is correct.
So that's the public-facing list, so it'll be on our website. We'll have I think we're going to have a date when it was put up there so that we can track to make sure that book's been up there for that required time.
Thank you.
And I think related to Mr. Jarrett's comment about not having members serve on both the campus level and the district level, I'm not sure, I don't know if we need to put language in this procedure that generally prohibits that. In the conflict of interest area, it might be something, I don't know if it's a conflict of interest, but somewhere I think we maybe need to have a line that says a member may not serve on the DLAC and CLAC simultaneously.
Maybe in the composition, section 1, where it says shall consist of a minimum of 7 and up to 14 parents as voting members who are not currently serving on the CLAC.
Say that again, Ms. Landry? I found the spot, sorry, I was moving
So
around.
Article 4, membership,
Yes.
section 1, DLAC shall consist of a minimum of 7 and up to 14 parents as voting members not currently serving on the CLAC.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think, just want to make sure we clarify that.
And I do have a question on that. Is it only parents? Did we have the opportunity for community members as well?
I believe it's supposed to be parents, if I'm not mistaken. I would think that
Yeah.
would be what we would want in
It
this
does
case.
clarify that it must be parents
Yep.
of students in the school.
Yep. And just so you know, in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christina or Mr. Jarrett, but it goes so far as saying if you're an employee of the district that's a parent, you cannot serve, correct? Yep. So just so you know, like it's right in the bill. It is parents, and then if you're an employee of the school district and you're a parent, you can't serve on that committee. They are explicitly excluding them.
That's not right.
Well, we should put that in here then, right? That it's,
But if that's in the law.
It's in the law. I don't think you need to put it in, right, Mr. Lopez? The law is the law, but that it's very clearly put in there, in the bill.
okay, it is. It does say not be an employee.
The other item I'd like to offer on Article 5, training. We talk about the DLAC members will receive training from the Director of Library Services. That includes the list of things. I'd like to insert the word mandatory training, just so that we, we need to be speaking to the members that we're going to ask to be appointed to this, that they, there's going to be some, I think at the front end, some heavy lifting on them, making sure they understand what this is and what the mission is and what the purpose is. And I think we'd want to make sure that they attend that training before they're allowed to sit on that district committee, so that they understand what they're getting into. So, Ms. Shelton. I'm sorry, I thought you were about to say something.
Does it need to say overview of SB 13 as we were changing that to?
So that one, I think, makes sense because they do have to read the current SB 13
Okay.
as part of that. Now,
Okay.
obviously, I think as that changes, we may have to change this in the future, but I think that generally makes sense for,
Okay.
Well, if we're to prevent having to make changes in the future, can we use some of that language without being explicit so that we don't have to come back every time the law
We-
changes?
we could say SB 13 as, SB 13 and/or
Applicable,
applicable law as,
applicable.
as may be amended.
My
Okay.
concern with saying SB 13 is that in 2033, SB 13 might be shoes must be blue.
Yeah, we could have a new SB 13 that's not this.
Right.
In the 90th session.
Right.
Correct.
So Ms. Caldwell made a good point. We can change that to the 89th regular, and that way it verifies when the law went into place, and it will always be there.
Okay, thank you. And then my, I just want to, just for the record, if every time it says SB 13, we're using that other language about state law, because I don't know if we capture them all. I was going through and I wasn't sure. So like Section 6, Article 6, Section 2,
Mhm.
obviously in the training, I saw it somewhere else. But just, if we could make that as a blanket update.
Yeah, if you guys just tell us that, Ms. Shelton, then we'll go ahead and change it everywhere that,
Everywhere
you'll
that
just
it
say,
says.
anywhere it says SB 13, we want the following language.
Thank
We're
you.
going to make that change for you.
Thank you, sir.
All right?
Any other questions or comments related to this procedure?
I just have one.
Yes,
If-
Ms. Cox.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this now or not, but if a book is contested, just so I know, does the rest of the list go to the board, or does it all come together? And should that be reflected in the policy?
So, does Christina want to come answer? Because I think, so your question is, if we have 1,000 books on a list, and one book is contested, would the remainder come to you all, the 999, for a vote?
And I think,
Since she's already on the way, I think I'll let her answer it, but.
Good evening. I would say that you could approve the list with these exceptions. So you get the recommended list with the DLAC, 999 yes, 1 no, and then you have the final decision. So if you say all 1,000, then that's what you approve. If you agree with the recommendation, 999, this one no, then that's what you would vote for, rather than having to create a whole new list without the ones that they are not recommending.
And Ms. Cox, I want to remind you, remember, DLAC doesn't make the decision. They make a recommendation.
Correct.
You all as the board. So the DLAC could say, we don't think you should adopt this book. And you all could say, well, thank you for your suggestion, but we're going to adopt it. Because ultimately the board has the authority. DLAC is simply an advisory council.
Right,
Correct.
and I understand that, but are you waiting for the 999 books until the one goes
No,
through?
we're going to bring them based on the timeline we've provided you
Yes.
earlier.
So-
So that we're going to keep following it.
Yeah.
And again, all we're going to bring is to you is to say, your DLAC says the following. Here's the book list of books we recommend for approval. Your DLAC says the following, and then you'll just make a vote.
And you will have the list as well. When we give it to the DLAC, you'll receive the list as well. So you'll have the list for those 30 days. And you'll receive all of the feedback from the community as well as any book resumes for any concerns that come up. So you can review that information the entire time as well, so that when you do get the recommendation, you also can make an informed decision with your own information.
so one thing I do want to point out is in review of library material, Article 6, we do say that if DLAC disapproves of the title, the committee must submit a rationale to the board citing specific concerns aligned with SB 13. And then it also says, when they make a recommendation to the board, it says the board will receive a book resume for any books that have been recommended for disapproval. So we're going to get the full list of 1,000 books. Yep. And then it's up to us to decide whether we agree with that disapproval or not.
Correct.
Is really what it comes down to.
Correct, to Ms. Shelton. We're not pulling books. You're going to see all the books that were recommended, and ultimately you all are going to make the decision. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the opportunity to actually look at a book that has been disapproved? The actual whole book?
Well, we'll get the title and the summary from the
Yeah.
DLAC, and then it's up to us. If you want to go read the whole book, you're welcome
Yeah.
to go read the
And,
whole
and
book.
if you needed the copy, Ms. Villarreal, as long as because at that point, we're actually asking for it to be
Correct.
added. So
Correct.
we don't possess that book.
Oh, I don't want the school
So,
district to pay
so
the
that's what
money.
I'm saying, like, these are a recommendation to purchase a new book,
Right.
so we don't have it in our catalog currently.
Could they give us maybe in the synopsis, it's like page 12, paragraph 4, read this is profane or something like that, so
It-
that we don't have to read all of it?
Section 2 says that they'll give us a rationale to the board citing specific concerns aligned with SB 13 guidelines, e.g. harmful, indecent, or profane content. So my assumption is that means they're going to cite whatever it is they have a problem with.
Correct.
Okay,
If
so
it's
I
a
don't
new
have to read
release,
it.
there'll be a few reviews, but as the book has been out longer, then there'll be more detailed reviews on the book, but we'll hand you whatever is available at the time that you guys review the material.
And I think what you're asking for, Ms. V, is similar to SHAC when they brought and pointed out specific parts in the curriculum. I don't think that's a problem to say, hey, they had issues with page 12, 27, 36, and so that you would know kind
Right.
of what the issue was. I don't see that as a problem, because that gives you the information to make the informed choice, right?
Right, I really don't want to read that stuff, but if somebody is telling us that it is bad, then I can't imagine that they would be telling us something that's false, so. I just want to be able to, say to the community, on page such and such, this was not a good thing for our kids to, I just want to be able to back up why we're not approving it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the procedures as discussed and amended with the SB 13 comment, changing that out, clarifying that members cannot serve on the CLAC and the DLAC, and that the training is to be mandatory? Were there any other?
Changing from SB 13.
Yes, correct. Changing from SB 13 to just referencing applicable law. Anyway, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you all very much for putting that together for us. All right, item C, discussion and possible action regarding,
Mr. Byer, I'm sorry, but once we make the changes, are you okay if we send it back? Who do you want us to send it to? Everybody, you first?
everybody.
Okay, so then, as soon as we make the changes, we'll email you all a copy of the changes.
Yep.
And then, that way then if you catch anything, you can just let us know and we'll make the shift, all right? Thank you.
Got it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And like I said, we'll send out some clarification about I'll work with Peggy to send out a note about appointing our members and the timeline for which we need to do that. But we have roughly a month to make that happen, so.
And Mr. Byer, tomorrow, what we'll do is send you all the list of some folks that have shown some interest. And again, you don't have to choose anybody, or you can use it to choose somebody. It's up to you, but it's just a starting point.
And to clarify that clarification, the list that we will receive was generated from emails that went out to our community or parents at the campus level, if I'm not mistaken. And so a lot of them filled that out for that. At the bottom of that questionnaire, there was a question asking, would you want to serve at the district level? And so if they checked that box, it also came to that list. So that's how that was generated. So some of those, obviously, if they checked the box or whatever the question was, they were interested in serving at the district level, but it sounds like they were also interested in serving at the campus level as well. So just know that when you're looking at that list.
Is there a link
Well-
on the website?
We're gonna get a copy of the list. Oh, yes.
Isn't there a link still for somebody to sign up if they want?
Yes.
It's
the
still
link
there.
is still on
It's
the
good through
website,
the
yes.
26th, I think Ms. Cox said, so.
Okay.
And is it possible for us to get those volunteers in the Google Drive so we can go back and reference, and if we have somebody leave, we can not have to bug anybody to get the others who have volunteered?
Yes, we're going to get you your whole list, so yes, you'll be able to see it that way. And if you need it a different way, we can probably do that too.
Okay, if we could just have it in the drive so it's easy to reference and we know where it's at and go get it.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item C, discussion and possible action regarding School Health Advisory Council member appointments. I know this came up at one of our last meetings, and I think it looks like some people were able to fill out some spots. Does anybody have any questions about this? I know I still have one member that I have to get because I had somebody drop out in the last couple of weeks. So, but I'd like to get, if we can, this list approved so that we can get this going and get notification out to people. So do I have a motion to approve the list as submitted?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Item 7, adjournment, and the time is 6:21.